How do we deal with toxic people at work, in our environment, in our life in general? That is the $1,000,000 question. So our thinking tends to be that the outside conditions our inner state of being, that we are unhappy because those people outside are the way that they are. But Sri Aurobindo tells us stringently in Savitri, his epic poem Savitri, our outward happenings have their seed within. In other words, it's our inner state of being that really is responsible for the outer circumstances in our life. So let me explain this with the metaphor of the magnet and iron filings. We've all done that experiment in school where we put a magnet on a cardboard and sprinkle iron filings around and tap the cardboard. The iron filings take the shape of the lines of force around the magnet. So in the picture that you're just seeing, each of us is a consciousness magnet and we have a charge around us. Iron filings are the circumstances that simply take the patterns of that charge. So I made this particular slide after one yoga class I had with a lady who came to me very, very upset because she'd had this huge fight with her mother-in-law. And we did the yoga class. Somehow it was graced with a lot of peace and she went home feeling really good. What was surprising was half an hour after she reached home, she called me and said, Anita, a miracle has happened. So I said, what happened? So she said, normally if I have a fight of this magnitude, my mother-in-law carries it for days and days after. But I came home feeling so good. The fight was completely out of my consciousness. And it was like nothing had happened. She also greeted me warmly, said, how was your yoga class? And it was like nothing had happened at all. So I can't help thinking that because this lady had shifted inside, somehow the universe had changed her outer configuration also. So the mother tells us beautifully that if we confront the most terrible people anchored in our highest, the highest in that person is obliged to come forward. So I'll give you another example. I teach yoga in schools, and once there was a girl who was going through a very, very rough time. Her parents were going through a divorce. She was having constant fights with her mother at home. She was always melting into tears in school, not functioning academically. So when her mother came to me on open day, I told her that I'm not bothered about her marks, but we have an unhappy child. We have to do something about it. The mother turned around and told me, well, I'm also unhappy. We are two unhappy people living at home. What do we do? And there was not much I could tell her at that point, though I tried. Few months later, we went for our annual Pondicherry camp. And this girl somehow was beautifully receptive to the atmospheres of the Samadhi in Pondicherry, Matri Mandir, all the sessions we had. She could identify the toxicity of her own thinking processes, and she went back home happy. And I could see the happiness sustained, her grades improved. Second term, we had our open day again. The mother-daughter duo came in again and I asked, how are we? And they both said in chorus, wonderful. And the mother said that the best thing my daughter ever did was to go to Pondicherry. I can't tell you, she's come back a changed person. So this again brings us to one wonderful thing Mother has told us, that you can actually measure your spiritual growth in comparison to how much your outer life flowers. The more you flower inside, the more your outer life also flowers. Now, how do you bring about this inner flowering that can create a flowering outside? That's what we'll explore in the subsequent videos. Namaste.